For 7-20, we're going to put together what we've learned the past couple of lessons, where sometimes we're going to move the decimal point, and sometimes we're going to just add a 0. In this case, there's only a decimal point in the divisor, so we move this over 1, which means this decimal point, which is at the end, remember, moves over 1, and we add a 0. Again, we're thinking to ourselves, we're multiplying this by 10, so we need to multiply this by 10. So then that gives us, and I'm going to rewrite it so it makes it more clear, 750 divided by 7, which is a mental math fact. I'm going to skip ahead to number 9 because you're going to find that the others you can do pretty easily on your own. So here we go back kind of to a full week ago. 8 doesn't go into 2, but it goes into 21 2 times. 2 times 8 is 16. I subtract and I get 5, and I bring down the 6. 8 goes into 56 27 times. I'm going to move the decimal point over 1 here, which means I move it over 1 here. So I have 8 goes into 4904. 8 doesn't go into 4, but it goes into 49 6 times. 6 times 8 is 48. I subtract and I get 1. I bring down my 0. 8 goes into 10 one time. 1 times 8 is 8. I subtract, I get 2. I bring down my 4. 8 goes into 24 3 times with no remainder. Number 11, 28 doesn't go into 2, and it doesn't go into 23, but it does go into 238. I'm going to round it to 30. 3 goes into 23. I'm going to say 8 times because that 23 is really close to 24. 8 times 8 is 64. 8 times 2 is 16, plus 2 is 22. Yay, I was right. 14 is less than 28, so it's an okay remainder. I bring down my 0. 3 goes into 14. That's really close to 15, so I'm going to say 5 times. 5 times 8 is 40. 5 times 2 is 10, plus 4 more is 14. I subtract, and there's no remainder. So here we're going to move our decimal point over 1, 2, 3. So we need to move this one over 1, 2, 3. I'm going to rewrite it to make it easier to do the problem. 33 doesn't go into 5, but it will go into 51. And I think 3 goes into 5 one time. 1 times 33 is 33. I'm going to subtract, and I get 18. 18 is less than 33, so I bring down my 4. 3 goes into 18 6 times, but I know it's not going to be 6 because 33 is more than 30, and 18 is right on, so I'm going to go down to 5. 5 times 3 is 15. 5 times 3 is 15, plus 1 more is 16. I subtract, and I get 19. 19 is less than 33, and I bring down my 8. 3 goes into 19, and this time I'm going to try 6. 6 times 3 is 18. 6 times 3 is 18, plus 1 more is 19, and I get my answer without a remainder. Georgia works as a florist. She has 93 roses to arrange in vases. Each vase holds 6 roses. How many roses will Georgia have left over? Well, first of all, we're looking at what's left over, or in other words, our remainder. We know we're going to divide because she has a total of 93 roses that she's dividing into vases. So we're going to take 93 and divide it into 6 for the 6 vases. 6 goes into 9 one time. 6 goes into 33 5 times. And then we get a remainder of 3. Now we want to make sure we answer the question, and we're not just writing 15 remainder 3. How many will she have left over? She'll have 3 roses left over. Julia is jarring peaches. She has 25.5 cups of peaches. Each jar holds 3 cups. How many jars will she need to hold all of the peaches? So once again, we have our total, and we're dividing those peaches into different jars. So we're going to take 25.5 and divide it by 3. That decimal point can stay there because there's no decimal point in the divisor. 3 goes into 25 8 times. We subtract, oops, I should bring my decimal point straight up. and 3 goes into 15 5 times, and then I'm done. So the answer here, what we want to immediately think is, oh, 8.5. You can't say we have 8.5 jars. So 8.5 means that she has 8 full jars, but then she has some left over. So we need to round this up, that she'll need a total of 9 jars. And this makes sense because if we have our first jar has 3 cups, our second jar has 3 cups, and so on, we're going to get to 27 cups, and we need 25 cups. Where if we only have 8 cups, 8 times the 3 cups, or 8 jars, I'm sorry, if we have 8 jars times 3 cups, we're only going to get to 24 cups total, and we need to get to 25.5 total. The area of a room is 137.5 square feet. The length of the room is 12.5 feet. What is the width? Well, we already know the total, so we're going to divide it by the length. And I need to move my decimal point over 1, so I'm going to move this decimal point over by 1. I'm going to go ahead and erase this so it's a little bit neater, and now I have no decimal point. So I have, and this is kind of a tough problem for you because we haven't done anything with 3-digit divisors. But if you look, it's pretty simple once we get down to it. 125 will go into 137 one time. And then we subtract, and then we get 125 again. And 125 will go into 125 11 times. And that's with no remainder. So our width is going to be 11 feet. All right, for our area and perimeter problems, remember our perimeter is adding all 4 sides, or in the case of a triangle, all 3 sides. For the perimeter, we do not do the perpendicular line for the perimeter, okay? But when we do the area, that's exactly what we need to use. And remember, the area of a parallelogram, we're going to take the 2 that make the plus sign, the T, the L. So our area is 8 times 5. And we need to make sure we put that into square centimeters. The thing with the triangle is we need to remember same thing. We're taking the L, the plus sign, the square, whatever. But this time when we multiply it, we're going to take our answer and divide by 2. Or to make it simpler, just divide one of the sides by 2. And then when we do the area, we have 48 centimeters squared. So remember, for these 2, you're going to divide the area, but for these 2, you aren't. But both of them, for area, you need to take this part no diagonal. So when we're looking at probability, remember, we're putting it in a fraction, because it tells us right here we're going to put it in a fraction. So we have a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 total possibilities. So that's our denominator. So for 1, we count 1, 2. So we have a 2 out of 8 chance of landing on a 1. If we put this in simplest form, we have a 1 in 4 chance of landing on a 1. We'll do that for 2, for 3, and then for 4, and do the same thing where you put it in simplest form.